Hi everyone, welcome back to my channels. And today in this video, we are going to cover some more topics on CSS. Okay, in previous video, we had already covered some basic and fundamental topics of CSS. In this video, we are going to cover some more important topic like some box model, right? Some the background properties, borders, right? So this kind of important property as perspective of web development. So we are going to cover these topics in today's video. Okay. So great. So can start our session. Okay. So coming to our Visual Visual Studio screen. So today we are going to cover this four topic. Okay, like CSS model. What is a CSS model? Why it is very important as a perspective of web development. Okay, and the second topic is backgrounds. What is a background and what is a border? Why it is important, right? Then we learn about CSS display property, right? What type of display we have in CSS. Okay, so we are going to learn about in depth. Okay, then at the end we learn about CSS position. Okay, so great. So in this video we are going to cover this four topics. Okay, so great. So let's get started with our first topic, and the first topic is CSS box model. Okay, so first understand CSS box model is a core fundamental concept of web development. Okay, and it is used to describe how our HTML element is structured onto the page. Okay, what is the CSS model? CSS sorry, box box model. It is a core concept. First of all, it is it's a core fundamental concept of web development. Okay, so web development, great. Okay, so it is a core concept of web development. Okay, great. And it describe box model. It describe describe the it describes how every HTML how every HTML element how every HTML element is structured onto a web on into our web page. Okay, structure into web page. Simple. Okay, great. So basically, box model is it is a it is a rectangular shape model. Okay, it's a it's a rectangular shape model. Okay, great. Okay, great. Okay, and it is a core fundamental concept of web development, and it basically used to describe how our HTML element is a structure onto the web page. Okay, great. And it has a some layers. Okay, uh, box model has some layers. So box model box model has a four layer. Okay, four layer. Box model have four layer. Okay, and what are the four layer of box model? So the first layer is content. Okay, Second layer is a padding. Okay, content padding. Third one is a border, and fourth one is a margin. Okay, or we can simply say that using this four layer, okay, we can make a box model. In simple way, we can say that. We can say that. Okay, don't worry. So great. So what is a box model? Box model is a core fundamental concept of web development, and it describes how every HTML element is structured into our web page. Okay, and a box model has a four layers. Okay, it has a four layers. So, and what are those four layers? The first one is a content, second one is a padding, third one is a border, and fourth one is a margin. Great. So, what is a content? Actually, whatever we are putting inside that box, okay, whatever we are putting inside this box, that that actual thing are the actual content of the box model. For example, if you are putting some text into that box, so the text is the actual content of the box model. If you are putting images on your web page, so the images is the actual content of the web page. Okay, so I will explain you. Don't worry. It is a four layer. So the first layer is content, right? So the first layer is content, right? What is the content? So content is the, it is the actual content, we can say that, and whatever we are going to in simple way, what's we are going to put inside a HTML document, HTML doc, that thing that 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 thing we can call as a actual content. For example, for example, text, right? Actual content. For example, paragraph. For example, image. For example, list, right? So these all are the actual content of the box model, right? Great. So the uh, second layer of box model is padding, right? So what is a padding? Padding is nothing but it is a space inside of your box model. So the space inside the box model. Simple. Okay. So what is the padding? Padding is nothing but it is space inside the box model. Okay. Great. So the third layer is border. So what is a border? So border is nothing but it's a outline to cover whole element. Okay. Whole element we can say that. Means it's cover the whole element with some outline, and that outline is called as a border. Okay, so the fourth layer of our box model is margin, right? Margin. So what is the margin? Margins, it's simply it 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 makes a space between two different element. Okay, and it is a outside of space. It is a outside side space. It's outside space of the element. We can say that. Okay, great. So margin is a outer outer side space. We can say that outer side space of the element. Okay, and mm, it helps to mm, make space between two different elements. Okay, so this is the margin. Okay, great. I will give an example. Okay, one real time example. Okay, suppose if you in your colony mm, have your friend's birthday, okay, and suppose if you are going to give some gift, right? Some gift box, right? So the actual gift, whatever the actual gift is, and you are going to give a gift to your friend, right? On his birthday. So you are packing that gift onto the box, right? So the actual gift you are putting inside that box, that is a content. Okay. The padding means you cover the actual gift with some soft papers, right? So that is, we can say that padding, right? And the border means the outline of the we can say that we are putting that your gift inside some box, right? So, or we can say that some border means, yeah, inside that box. So that box, it's the outline, it covers whole element into that box, right? So that box, we can say that that's a border. And if you give this gift to your friend, right? And some other people also giving the gift, right? So it's different from other gifts, right? So that's the margin, we can say that. So that's the real time example. Okay, great. I will explain you through an practical examples. Don't worry about how our box model will look like. I will show you. Don't worry. So far, for this, we need to create first one file for HTML file for that. Okay, so I give a name box.html. You can give any name. Okay, no matter. Okay. So I have give a name box.html, and mm, using a template on box model. Okay, great. Okay, great. Then I need to create a one style external CSS for this box.css. Okay, suppose if you need to use external CSS, right? So I had already explained you. You need to link your external CSS file with your HTML file using a link, right? So link your external CSS. What is the name of your external CSS? It's a box.css, right? So we are successful. Great. So okay, so uh, we have linked our HTML file, our external CSS with our HTML file. Okay, great. Okay, so coming to our topics, right? I'm going to explain you the CSS model through an example. Okay, so for that, suppose if you okay, remember one thing, no? Whatever the element we are using, so it will be represented as a box model on the page. Okay, suppose if you use a paragraph, this is a paragraph, great. Okay, so for uh, seeing the output of this code, I'm running the live server. Okay, great. You can see the output right here on browsers. This is the paragraph. Okay, great. So now we need to, okay, I will show you the box model. Okay, so I had already told you every element in the HTML, it will represented as a box on the page, right? So we have created paragraph. So where is it box model of paragraph tag, right? So for seeing the box model, you need to right click on the page, okay, and just click on inspect element, and you can see here, right? This is the box model, right? You can see this is the box model, and this is the actual content, right? You you can observe, right? When I click on this inner element, right? So here also it will be selected, right? So this is our actual element, right? So here the paragraph is the actual element, right? And this is the padding, right? The inner space, right? The inner space uh, between the border, right? So inner space inside the box element we can call as a padding. right? And the border means the outline will cover to the whole element. So it's a border, and the outer space is a margin, right? So this is the simple box model. Okay, and remember, always remember, every HTML element we are created. So on the web page, it will be represented as a box. Okay, box model. So this is the box model. Okay, so this is the actual content, and it has a four layer, right? Content, padding, border, margin, right? So content means it's the actual content, whatever we are putting inside that actual box. So that is the actual content, okay? And the inside space between that border, so that's the padding, and the whole thing cover inside some outline. So that outline we called as a border, right? And the outer space we can call it as a margin. Margin. So this is the box model. Okay, great. So I have explained you the box model in very easy manner, right? So coming to our next topic. So the second topic is backgrounds and borders. What are the backgrounds and borders in CSS? Okay. So first we break one by one. Okay. So I will explain you one by one. So what is a background? Basically, suppose background is why it is important. First question is why background is important. Suppose if you want to style, right? If you want to style, if you want to apply some styles onto your background, so that time you use a background property, right? So what is the background? Background. What is the background? It is used. It is used to style the background of your element. Simple way we can say it. Okay. So background property is very important, uh, right, in CSS, and it is used to style your used to style your element, right? Okay. So there are some property. So what are that property of background color? Like the first property we have a background color property, right? The second one is a background image. Third one is a background repeat. Fourth one is a background position. Fifth one is a background size, and last one is we have a background attachment, right? So I will explain you one by one. Okay, don't worry. Okay. So the first property of background is a background color. Okay. So background color, we can set the background color using this property. Okay, background color property we are using to set the color of background. I will show you through an example. Don't worry. Okay. So suppose if you created a first paragraph here, okay, and suppose if you want to apply some color, uh, some color or background color to the paragraph. So you can use like this. You can, okay, don't worry. Okay, so we can use the first property of background color. Okay, suppose if you want to apply some on paragraph, right? So you can just directly write the background color. Background color is it is used to set the background color of an element. Here also you can see the definition of background color, right? It set the background color of an element. Suppose if you want to set um, a background as a cornflower blue color, so you can set, right? So the output of your, you can see, right? Right. So using this property, we can set the background color of the element. Great. So the second background property is the background image. Okay. So it is used to set the image as a background. Okay. So suppose if you want, in some scenario, what happened? You want to set a background as an image. Okay. So you can use a background image property over there. Okay, so here we have not set any background here, right? Suppose I'm I want to set a whole background as an image. So how can I do? So you can do like this. Suppose on body only you directly want to apply background image. So you can use a background image property over here, right? And so there is a one more attribute of the background image, that is a URL. URL means it takes the location of your image. Okay, simply it's so for getting one image, I'm going to the Chrome and I'm searching cat image. Simple. Okay, you can see the cat image. Great. So any images we can take this image, okay, or we can say this image, no, this image. No, actually we have images. We can look at this image. Yeah. So copy the image address of the image and paste it here. Okay, great. Right. Okay, and you can see the output, right? Yeah. So we have successfully set the image as a background. Okay, great. So this is we have covered two property here. Okay, so the third one is a background repeat. Okay, okay. So it is used to control the repetition of your images. Okay, suppose if you want to repeat your image, so you can. Suppose if you don't want to repeat your image, in this case, you can say, right, because why it's repeating here, because of the actual width of your document is very means it's greater than your actual image. Your actual image is less than your document size. Okay, so in this scenario your image will be repeated. But if you want to stop the repetition of your images, so you can use this property. Which property? Background repeat. In this way you can mention, in this way you can, like background repeat, and you don't want to repeat the image property, right? So you can mention no repeat over there. You can see, right? Great. So then we have another property, that is a background position. Okay. So basically it is used to control the, we can set the position of our background. Okay, means we can set the position at the center of our document. We can set the position right side of our document, and by default it is at the left side of our document, right? You can see it, right? By default it's the left side, right? Suppose so if you want to change background position at the center of, you want your background at the center of your document, so you just use a background position and center attribute over there. You can see, right? Great. So suppose if you want to right side of the document, so just you use the right. Uh, right. So by default, is it, we are not using the background position right now. So I'm commenting the this property background position. Okay. So by default, it's show like this. Okay. Great. Then we have some background size. Okay, so background size property, it helps to control the size of our background. Suppose if you want to increase the size of your background, so you can use the background size property. I will show. Suppose if you use background size, suppose if you want to decrease the background size of your image, so you can using this property. You can do, right. 10 pixel. It's very small. Okay. So 200 pixel. You can see, right? 200 pixel. In similar way, we can control the size of background using this property. Right? Great. Great. So the last property is background attachment. Okay. So what is a background attachment? Background attachment property. Yeah. Background attachment property. We can fix the position of our image. Okay. Suppose if we use a fixed property here. So if in your document any scroll bar came in your document, okay. So at that time also your images is fixed is in this position only, okay. Great. So this is the background attachment property. Okay, great. Okay, so till here we have covered the all the property of backgrounds. Okay, so now coming on to the border property. Okay, great. So border means, okay. So the first things why we use the border property in CSS. This is so simply suppose if you want to uh, define some outline around any element, right? Suppose it is used. We can say that it is used to define. It is used to define the outline, right? Outline uh, around the element, around the element, right? Suppose if you want to define some outline around any element, so you can use a border property. Yes. Yes. So there are some more property. So what are the border property? So the first one is the border width. Okay. So border width is used. It is used to set the thickness of your border. Okay. Using the border width property, you can control the thickness of your border. Okay. I will show you. Suppose first, as you can see, right? This is our image, right? But there is a no border applied to this image. Okay, so we are going to apply border to this image. How can you apply? You can just mention like this border 2 pixel, right? 2 pixels solid. Okay, great. So you can see. Okay, apply. Okay, great. No worries. We are going to apply this border property onto the paragraph. Okay, you can see, right? So you can see we have successfully applied border to the paragraph element. Okay, great. So now, okay, now we need to control the thickness of our border. Okay, uh, we want to increase the thickness of our border. So how can we do? Using the border width property, we can do. I will show you. Okay, suppose if you use a border width property, right? Suppose if you give 10 pixels, so it will increase the thickness of your border. You can see, right? Great. Awesome. Right. Great. Then we have another border property that is a border style. Okay. So basically, border style property is used. It gives a different kind of style, right? Like it gives several kind of style property, like dashed border. It will provide a dash border property, dot border property, a lot of properties it will apply, right? I will show you through an example. Here we can use which property border style, right? Border style. So suppose if you use a border style property and if you want dash the border, okay? So you can directly use a dash border, right? So in this way we are using border style property. Okay, great. Then border color property. Okay. So this border color property is used to set the color of border. Okay. Suppose you want to change the color of border to, by default, it is in black, right? So suppose if you want to change this color to the red, so border color to the red. So how can you change? Just you can use border color and just mention the color, whatever the color you want, right? Suppose if you want to give the red color to the border, so you can use a red color. Awesome. You can see the awesome, right? So then we have a border radius property. So what is meant by border radius property? So the border radius property means it turns your whole corner. Okay, all the four corners. Border radius property is used. Okay, if you want to turn your corners, so you can use a border radius property. Okay. So border width, right? So, okay, our paragraph is a we have paragraph is a block element, so that's why it takes the whole block. Okay, so we are going to convert to inline. Okay, so we can do using a display inline. Okay, so you can see, right? So it will take only this much space. Okay, right. So okay, border radius. So what is the border radius? Using a border radius, we are sharp, or we are sharp the corner of our element. Okay, as usual. Suppose if you use a border radius, you can see here, it defines the radius of the outer border edges. So if you use a border radius and if you mention 5 pixel, so you can see it's now by default it's look like this, but when you use a border radius, okay, so you can see it will sharp your corner, right? All the four corners of your element, it's sharp, right? Suppose if you want to convert this rectangular shape into the circle, so you can give border radius to 50%. Right? If you give 50%, so it will convert this. Suppose if you give 100%, 100%, right? So you can see 100%. Okay, because of the we have a paragraph, right? And the content inside the paragraph. So for that reason, it will take specific, right? So there is a no content inside the paragraph. So now we are converted into the it's a this shape is a similar of uh, egg shape, right? Great. So great. Okay. So this is the border radius. Okay. And the last one is a box shadow. It's not a border property, I think. So we are going to eliminate this property. Don't worry. Next, another video we will cover. Okay. Great. Okay. So great. We have till now we have covered two topics, and we are covered the first topic. Our first topic is a box model, and second one is a background and borders. Okay. So coming to our third topic is CSS display property. So what is a display and why we use it? Okay. And one more thing. Why we use box model? Okay. We I'm not explaining you why it is important. Box model. Why box model is important? So if you want to control the layout and spacing of your if your element on the page, so the box model is very important. Okay. Then the second reason is that to avoid the overflow and overlook of your element onto the page. So for that reason also the CSS box model is very important. And the third one is essential for giving the accurate width to an element. Okay, great. So we had successfully covered the two topics, CSS box model and background and border property of CSS. Okay, great. So the third topic is display property. So what is the display property of CSS? It is used. It is it's used to it is used to define, or we can say that it controls it controls it controls how HTML element is shown on the web page. Okay, great. So CSS display property mostly used to show the element onto the web page. Okay, great. So in display we have a five types. So in five way we can apply display property to any element. Okay, HTML element. So what are that ways? So the first is a display block. Okay, so display block means display blocks. Okay, so first of all, uh, whenever you whenever you give display block to any element, okay, so it takes the whole width. It takes whole width. Okay, it takes whole width. And second point is that it always start start it always starts with another line, another with another line, right? It always starts with another line. Okay, so what is a block? When you apply display block to any element, so it behaves like, means it takes the whole width of the page, horizontal whole horizontal width of the page. Okay, uh, element page, and it always start with another line. Okay, great, great. So okay, I will show you through an example. Okay, don't worry. So suppose if okay, right. So okay, so paragraph is a block level element. Okay, and we are converting block level element to inline using a display inline. Right? So we are going to remove by default. Paragraph is a block level element. So what is a block level element? I already showed. Okay, so this is the board. This is the block level element. It takes the full width of entire width of the web page. Okay, and it always start with new line. Okay, suppose if you give another paragraph, right? So it always start with new. This is a another para paragraph. Correct. So it always start with new line. You can see, right? It always start with new. So this is the block level element. We can say that, and this is the display block property in CSS. Okay, great. So this is the display block property. Then second, we have a inline property, right? Inline display inline. So inline, it takes takes up only as much as much needed needed width on page. Okay, and it not always start with another line. It depend upon the content inside that element. Okay, it always depend upon the width of. Okay, I can say that the width is always always depend upon the content stored inside the element. Okay, great. Okay, and and it takes only as much needed width. Okay, great. Suppose you can say here, right? So suppose if we so by default para is a block level element. Okay, so that's why it takes the full width and it goes to the next line, right? Suppose if we convert this paragraph into the inline element, how can we convert? Like suppose if we use display inline, so you can see, right? It only takes the space as much it needed. Okay, so it needed only this much space. So and it's not when we are converting the block level element into the inline element, so it will not start always not start with next line. Okay, it's depend upon the content. Great. So by default it's by default it's display block. Okay, right. So okay, so in display block, whatever the which element, for example here, for example in display block we have a paragraph, we have a div, we have a ally tag, we okay, so these are the block level element. Okay, great. And paragraph is a block level element, right? It will take the full width and it always start with full. Great. Okay, so the coming to our second display property is inline, right? And inline it takes only the space, it only take the width as much it's needed. Okay? And the width which depend upon the content stored inside that element. Okay. So inside, what are the example of inline element? So the example of inline element is anchor tag, okay, image tag, then input tag. Okay, great. Yes. So the example of inline element are anchor tag, image tag, and input tag. Okay, great. And it takes, suppose I will give an example. Okay, suppose okay. So this is the example of this is the yeah, this is okay. I will give an example of inline element, right? So inline element are anchor tag. So I'm going to create one anchor tag. www dot google.com, right? And go to Google, right? And suppose after that we use a span tag, right? Span is also inline element. Uh, so this is span. So it's not start with the next line, right? You can see, right? It's not start with, right? It only take the width as much it's need. Okay, so it's need only this much space, so it take only this much, and from the remaining it takes another element, right? So this is the inline display. Okay, great. Then we have display inline block. Okay, so what is meant by display inline block? Inline block, right? Display inline block. So what is meant by display inline? It is similar to inline, but it's similar like inline, but we can we can give we can give width, we can give height, we can give margin, we can give padding to an element. Okay, so this is the inline block. Okay, so so to the inline element we are not able to give the width, height, and margin and padding. Okay, but we can we can convert to inline block, and then we can give width, height, margin, and padding to that element. Okay, so this is the difference between inline and inline block. Okay, so then we have display none. Okay, so display none. So what is meant by display none? So when you apply display none to any element, so it will be completely hide your element. Okay, or it will be completely disappear the element from your page. Okay, in simple way we can say it completely. Okay, completely hide your element from the page. I will show you through an example, don't worry. Okay, so suppose we have here we have a two paragraphs, right? But suppose, okay, in second paragraph, okay, for second paragraph I need to, suppose if you want to select a specific paragraph, right? So we need some selector, right? We need to apply some selector. So I'm giving class selector to select a specific paragraph. Okay, so this is a para2. I'm giving class para2. Okay, so suppose if you want to apply display none, right? Para2 p2, and when I'm applying display none property to the para two elements, so it will be completely completely disappear from this page. Okay, let's see. Wait, display, you can say the para class 2. Okay, not p2, para, you can say, right? It will be completely uh completely hide your element. Okay, when you use display none property. Great. Then we have another property in display. We have a flex. Okay, so flex is basically, it is mostly used to apply the layout. Okay, mostly it is used for it's used for it is used for layout layout and alignment. Oh, great. Layout and alignment alignment item. Okay, it is used for your layout and alignment of your item on to page. Okay, great. And with the flex property, we get a more property, like we can we can make our element completely center of our page using a flex. Okay, so and we have another some property like flex wrap gap, right? So it will be using a flex, we can more control on layout and alignment of our items. Okay, great. So this is the display property. Okay, great. So I will show you the example. Suppose if you use display flex, right? You can say, right, display flex and not fair. Suppose, okay, I'm going to apply display flex onto the anchor tag. Okay, so okay, anchor tag. Display flex, right? Display flex. So, right, so you can use align item. Then we will justify content. Enter. Okay. When you use this to property, so you can you can align your text at the center of your document. I will show align item, align item, and justify content. So this is the display property of CSS. Okay. So the last topic of the today's session is CSS positioning. Okay. And positioning is very important when it comes to the CSS part. Okay. So what is the CSS positioning? Positioning is it is it define okay it define it define how how an element how an element is placed how how our element is placed onto the page and where we can where we want to position or where we want to place our element. In simple word, positioning property is used to place our element according to our need. Okay, suppose if you want to apply the uh, at us some position, right? So you can use a position property also. So great. So it is defined how an element is placed on the page. Okay. So in CSS positioning, we have a different types of positioning. Like we have a static position. Okay. Or static means it's a by default. Okay. By default position. By default position. Okay. Static is a by default position. Then we have a second is a relative. Relative means it's the position relative to position relative to static element. Okay, static position, or we can say that default position. Default default position. Okay, it's position related to static or default position, relative element. Okay, then we have a absolute position. Absolute positioning, right? So what is the absolute? It's relative to nearest nearest position element. Okay, nearest position element. You can say that. Great. Then we have position fixed. Okay, so we have fixed position. Okay, so it's relative to browser windows. It's relative to uh, browser window. Great. Okay, great. So I will explain you one by one through an practical code. Okay, don't worry. So static means it's a by default, right? So I will show you. Don't worry. Suppose, okay, for that I need to create some divs. Okay, so I'm going to create some divs. So first div, okay, and I'm going to give class div one, right? Suppose if you do three, right? And okay, wait. Okay, so so we have created four divs. Okay, great. So we have created div one, div two. Need to change the class name of every div. Okay, so div four. So we are applying some style for div because if we see there is a no div, right? Great. Okay, so the images we want to create, and we can use this property for changing right side, right? Okay, great. So it's a right side now. Our image will came right side. Okay. Okay, now we need some divs. Okay, but we have created div, but it's not appear onto our page, right? Because for appearing the div onto the page, we need to give some styling for. Suppose if you use div one. Okay, so first thing you need a background. So first thing we need to give width. So width is 200 pixel. Okay, then you need some height, right? So it is also 200 pixel. Okay. If you see the output, why you are not able to see the div? Because we need some background color. Okay. Suppose if we see any div present here, right? It's present, but it's not visible to you because we are not giving any color to the div, right? So this is the div part. Okay. It's a present, but you are not able to see because. Suppose if you give background color yellow, yellow, now you can see the box, right? So this is a one div. In similar way, we are going to create some different div. Okay, copy and paste one more. Okay, so div one, div two, div three, and div four. Great. Okay, great. And every div we need to give another different color. Mm, green, red, okay, and blue. Right? You can say right. So this is our okay div. Great. Yeah. So I'm going to comment this too. Okay. And first I will explain you the position static and position related. Okay. So for position static, you can say right. Static means the by default position, right? So by default, it scans the left side of your document, right? So this is the position static. It's a by default. Okay. So suppose if you give the position relative, okay, so it position relative means it relative to its static position, right? So suppose if you give here, here, so here you give, you can see the output right here for now. But when we give position relative. So it takes the reference of the default or static, we can say that static position, right? So by default it's came here, right? So this is the position relative. It takes relative to static and default position. But when we comes to the absolute position, okay. So it is relative to its nearest position. I will show you. Suppose we apply absolute position to the div. Okay, we are going to apply to div 3. Okay, okay, div 3, don't worry. Or div 4, no, div 3. And this is the div 4, right? So you can see, right? By default, it's a static, right? But when we use the position absolute, right? And what is a position absolute? It always relative to its nearest position of an element. So what is the nearest position of absolute? It's a relative, right? So this box, right? So it takes the width according to this relative. Okay, I will show you. Uh, Suppose if we give the position position absolute, right? Give position absolute. So you can see the output, right? So it take position absolute, it takes 400, right? And width 300, height 300. So it takes the position according to its parent. Okay, great. Then we have a fixed. Okay, suppose if you use a fixed. Okay, I will show what I am saying, a relative, right? So when I use a relative position, right? So it takes a reference from the parent. So what is the parent of relative? It's a static and by default, right? So when suppose if you came here and you first comment this, then you understand what I'm trying to explain. Okay, so you can see, right? So this is the, it takes the reference of default position. Okay, great. And suppose if default position present here, right? So it comes here, great. And it coming to our absolute. Okay, okay, relative we have covered, right? And static is a by default position. Relative, it relative to its static and default position, and absolute means it relative to its nearest element. Okay, so okay, so okay, so right now, the nearest element of this div3 is div2, right? So it takes the reference from this element. But when we change, uh, when we when we comment this div2, okay, when we comment this div2, so the nearest parent for this absolute position is the default, the static one, right? So it takes the reference from static, and according to the parent is the nearest element, so it will take the position according to it. Okay, great. And the last one is a fixed, right? Last one is fixed. So I need to uncomment and I'm going to uncomment this one, right? And you can see the, suppose if you give the position fixed, okay, okay, position fixed. Yes, you can give the position fixed. Okay, great. Okay, so you can see it's a fixed position. Okay, if you have a scroll bar on your page, and if you scroll your page, so whole content will be scrolled, but uh, the div always be present only. It is fixed. Okay, it will not change. So it is fixed. The position of this div always be fixed. Okay, suppose if you increase the height of the div, right, and you have a scroll bar, you can see, right, it's a fixed, right. And one more difference. Okay, so where we are. Okay, so the static means by default, and we cannot apply some value like top and bottom. Okay, but in relative we can apply. Okay, suppose if we apply, a property on relative. Okay, so suppose if you give top 10 pixel, top 10 and from right side. Okay, 10 pixel. Okay, so by default I will show you first. It's here, right? Relative, our second div here, okay, by default. But when we use a top and right, you can say, right, it's came little bit here, okay. So suppose if we use 100, so it comes under right. Suppose if you use minus right, so it takes the height according to its by default means a static div, okay, means static position. It takes the reference from static. When it comes to the position absolute, it takes the reference from nearest element. Okay, suppose if we take the position left, okay, say left 60 pixel, okay, 60 pixel and 60 pixel, right, 60 pixel and bottom 100 pixel. Okay, so it takes the reference and relative to its nearest element. I will show nearest element. And what is the nearest element of this div is the relative one, right? So it takes according to the position, it takes the position according to its. I will show you 100, it's 200, right? You can say, right? So it takes according to its nearest. So which element? The div2 is the nearest, right, of div 3. So it takes according to the top and according to its nearest element. Okay, correct. So this is the difference and fixed. I had already explained. If you mention the position fixed, okay, so uh, no matter how you scroll your page, the div are fixed on that position only. Okay, so suppose if you give 500 and if you give 900, yes, and again if you give minus bottom, right, you got now you get a scroll bar, right, on your page. So if you scroll the page, then only it still remain on same position, right, this box. So it is a fixed position. So this is the difference between the positions, okay, static, relative, absolute, and fixed. Okay, great. So congratulations, we have completed the 4 topics. Today's most important 4 topics in CSS. Okay, guys. Still, if you face any difficulty, so please comment me. I will try as soon as possible. I will try to solve your queries. Okay, and if you are watching my video, so thank you so much. Okay, and thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much. Bye bye. Take care.